So we're ready now?
I think so.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna count to five to one.
Okay.
But I'm not gonna say 1 and 0.
Okay.
That way my voice doesn't get out of the recording. So, but you have to count 1 and then you can start.
Okay.
So ready?
Yep.
We're gonna start in 5.
What's up, everybody? Hey, this is Daniel De Leon. I'm here with Pixelogic at San Diego Comic-Con's 50th Comic-Con, which is pretty awesome, I guess. So we're going to have a good time. I'm going to be sculpting a likeness of John Krasinski, who was last seen in A Quiet Place. I'm a huge fan of the film. I loved it, so I figured I'm going to do a tribute piece to that. And we're going to have a whole host of other characters coming down into this project down the line. But you guys are going to be the first to see the actual start of this very elaborate 3D print that I'm going to be doing, completing probably by the fall. So thanks for coming along. And if anybody has any questions, please feel free to send them my way, and I'll be more than happy to answer as I just go along this likeness.
I have a question.
Yeah, man.
So why Krasinski?
Why Krasinski?
I feel like I know the answer to this.
Well, because Quiet Place is awesome.
There it is.
It's a great story.
It. Totally.
Such a good movie. And I just wanted to do like kind of like a what if sort of scenario where they'll be lined up and circling their children, and you have the aliens coming in, and something really unique.
Yeah. I loved it.
Yeah, no, it's a great movie. If anyone hasn't seen A Quiet Place, I highly encourage them to go see it, to buy it. So I'm sure some people might be wondering, like, well, why not have this on an image plane? And you know, it's something I could do with Lightbox as well, or Shadowbox, or what's the word I'm looking for? And flustered, busy day. Spotlight. There we go. You know, maybe I will do that, but just to get a rough start, you know, it's always nice just to be able to quickly throw in an image and then have your model on top of it like this, just using see-through. Thank you. Yeah, it's 3D printed. Yep. Thank you. That was the Form 2. The Form 2, Form Labs printers with that on. Those are different technologies. That's FDM, so that's like an extrusion through plastic and like a glorified hot glue gun on a gantry, and this is liquid resin where a laser cures the liquid. So it creates solid covalent chemical bonds, so it's like one chunk. No, totally different technologies. Yeah, that's solid plastic that's liquefied or heated up and melted to form layer by layer. Yeah, you see a lot of grain, and you'll see striation in FDM printers or FFF printers. But then with liquid resin, if you have everything's tight, you won't see any striations anywhere. Really. Yeah, you shouldn't. It can be. I mean, yeah, layers will separate sometimes, or something will bump it, and then you have a mess. Yeah. The sculptor to print. The sculpt was like hundreds of hours. Yeah, it was a passionate project. It was personal passion project though. So. No, I think the joint there you've seen is just like it's a prototype, so there's some imperfections. You know, the feathers create a real challenge to connect all the parts and have the feathers overlap. But thank you. It's showing the epitome of what you can really do. Yeah, it's I really try to push every printer I'm involved with. Thank you. Thank you. And for anyone on live stream who's wondering who I was talking to, Comic-Con, we have a lot of people walking by and they'll say hello, and I have my Trico statue in front of me in a case, and so Trico from The Last Guardian is this giant griffin creature with lots of feathers, and so people are kind of freaking out that you can 3D print feathers anatomically correct on an animal that's like 1/18th scale. So it's pretty cool. If you guys are here, come by the booth, you can check it out in person.
All right, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
This is from Twitch.
Okay.
Daniel, you prefer using see-through for doing the likeness rather than image plane or Lightbox or using spotlight images?
Yeah.
Are you using ZBrush supply base mesh hat as a starting point?
Yes. So yeah, I initially touched on that originally. Just to get going really quick, I'll just immediately open an image from a folder and have it in the background and use see-through. It's a fast, immediate way to change the amount of opacity you have, but it's not locked in. So that's the one thing. It's like, yeah, you can get variances then if the ZBrush crashes or if you have some sort of other error or problem. So I know that it's not like the most perfect solution, because then there's another way to do this where you can do model transparency, and you can edit that preference a bit, which is this model opacity. So that might be something I'll switch over to, but just to get a quick rough, like just to hit the ground running, I'll just open up ZBrush, open up the image behind it, and then just do consistent fading between what's in the background and what's in here. And then once I feel like I got the base down, then I'll probably do like an image plane or a Lightbox to bring things inside. And then yeah, the model is the base mesh that comes with ZBrush, or one of them. I think I might have downloaded one from Nick Z, but I'll show people here. If you go into your tools, you have a whole bunch of here. Nick Z is just a phenomenal sculptor, really nice guy, and I purchased one of his more detailed human models as a base mesh I use for almost all my human figures, typically male and female. If you guys have the opportunity, go support Nick, go buy some of his human models. They are phenomenally well done, extremely good edge loops. He has all sorts of separate areas too. For if you look at the polygroups, you got your mouth separately. Inside you have your mouth bag. Zoom in here. You got your mouth bag. Inside you even have your tongue. He's got eyeballs with lenses. I mean, it's like a really well-made base mesh to start for any human figure. So if you ever wanted to, be able to just start with something that's really well prepared, I highly recommend Nick Z's models. Yeah.
All right, question from the same guy.
All right.
Do you do your own printing or do you farm it out?
No, I do all my own printing. I never farm it out. I mean, only if a client hires me just to give them the file, and then I send them the file, and that's the job. But if anybody needs me to print something for them, we just lay out the groundwork, what they want, what they're expecting, get a time frame out, and then go to work.
And I think the answer to this question is, if you're own, what type of printer do you use?
Several. I use the Form 2, just purchased the Form 3 that's coming, and an old MakerBot Replicator 2, which is still a workhorse, which is amazing, and a Ultimaker Extended 3.
All right, one last question.
Yeah.
If you can get ZBrush for sculpting, is there any other program that will help you to finish your product?
I mean, if they're asking if you can't get ZBrush?
No, yes, if you cannot get ZBrush.
If you cannot get ZBrush, I mean, I would probably go with Sculptress, which is free, and Pixelogic supplies that as well. And it'll give you a good basis for general ideas of methodology of how to work in ZBrush if you really can't afford ZBrush currently. Sculptress is the way to go.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Right now, I'm gonna let Daniel make some progress here before I ask him a bunch of questions. I'm distracted. See that? That's more questions.
All right, fire away. Ready whenever you are.
I have one more question for you.
Yes,
Sorry
sir.
to interrupt.
No worries, no apologies.
Do you do any real sculpting with clays or other mediums?
Yes, I do, or I have, I should say, but don't do it regularly currently, only because it's time-consuming and it takes a lot of time doing sculpting digitally as well. You know, just gotta put food on the table and roof over your head. So I usually don't have that much time, or I won't leisurely use my time for physical sculpting anymore. But if someone were to put a bunch of clay in front of me and throw a bunch of money at me, sure, no problem.
So
No problem.
do digital give you a new level of respect for the old masters?
Always. No, there's never a change in how much respect. There's only probably an increase in how much respect I have for the original masters. I mean, there's still, when you see a Benini or you see a Canova or, I mean, you know, Michelangelo's, any of those sculptures, you know, hundreds of millions of others, it's hundreds of thousands. There's just so much effort and time and skill and work that has gone into those. Them and their crew, really, because there was many other people who helped a lot of those sculptures. It wasn't just one guy. It was actually a lot of people usually working on those sculptures. But still, the level of fidelity and realism that some of those marble statues have is just unbelievable. So it's, I forever will have respect for people who traditionally sculpt.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So I see you have a nice low topo cage there. Did
Yep.
you Z-remesh that?
No, yeah, someone asked earlier, this is all Nick Z's original.
Oh, so this is his geo.
Yeah, this is his geo. Yeah, I use a lot of his female and male model typically to start a lot of my human bases, because it's just such good topology.
Yeah.
It's like perfect.
Yeah.
And when you see the polygroups, you've got separate areas for the mouth, around the eyes,
Right.
mouth bag inside, all that. So
And you prefer low topo as opposed to, say, a Dynamesh surface, a higher res Dynamesh surface?
I do. I think I just like to, because the edge flows keep everything so clean, and they keep already the default to how the polygons will smooth out and rest
Yeah.
are aided by the topology.
Yeah.
So I often prefer that rather than going in for Dynamesh. I mean, I know even though this is going to be an end result of just a 3D print, so topology doesn't technically matter that much.
Yeah.
This assists, and for me, I feel like it assists me in getting that flow right.
Sure.
And then also, it just feels good to always be practicing with good topos, so that if anything ever needs to go to production, I save in increments. So then if someone says, oh, we'd love to do that or pose that differently, then it's easier to deform and mask and change things around while the topology is really clean and animatable, sort
You
of.
could use layers if you wanted to.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you can get good facial animation, deformation, yeah. So I try to work in, for me, I think of like an optimal in between straddling production and 3D printing, where if something might want to be animated or they want to hand it off for someone to do something else with, I would like to like straddle the fence, so at least it keeps my brain still in that space where, because I bounce between the two, whether I'm in the studio, I'm working for production, or often then it's at home, I'm working for myself or other clients that are 3D printing. So it's like kind of staying in the middle always kind of keeps my brain on both sides sort of active for that.
Yeah.
I guess, you know. You like to do Dynamesh?
No, actually, I'm with you. I prefer the low top of page. I like how the move brush reacts with topology that has clean edge loops, and when you're doing this kind of stuff, you're focusing on silhouette. You know, and you're using the move brush a lot, like you're doing. And it's harder to do that when you have more geometry and you get lumpy sculpts. And there's a lot of cleanup. So I like this.
Sorry, you can write down the person that you're getting the forms from.
Oh, sure. You mean for the actor, or do you mean the model?
Nick Z.
Nick Z. Oh yeah. So it's Nick Zuccarello. I don't know how to spell his last name.
I was gonna say that's gonna be a tough one.
Yeah,
I'll look
haven't
it up.
memorized it, but yeah, he's known as just Nick Z. If you Google Nick Z and ZBrush, you will find his stuff. He's a good guy and extremely skilled and talented. Blessed man. Yeah, no, I'm friends with him on Facebook, and I think we might have spoken once at some point. I feel like, but don't quote me on that. I'm not sure if he was at a ZBrush summit ever. Have you met Nick Z in person?
I think we've met once.
I feel like I have met him once. Yeah. It's in the SIGGRAPH or.
It's been a while.
Yeah. He's a great guy. He's a really nice guy. Very humble. I always appreciate that. It's always weird too. I don't know for you, Solomon, but like sculpting likenesses, like anything, you always go through this really kind of like crappy phase where it just feels like it looks like garbage for a while, and you know it's getting there. But the other side of it is everyone's face is asymmetrical, and of course, more symmetry equals more attractive faces in general when it comes to psychology. But none of our faces are 100% symmetrical, so there's always this funniness where you're kind of making
you're doing it symmetrically, so it's never going to perfectly line up.
Right.
You can kind of see, like, all right, I'm about 75% of the way there.
Exactly.
And then you'll break symmetry at the end.
Yep. I'm partly there, and then once I feel like I'm at the best medium between their actual likeness and the symmetrical version that can get as close to it, that's when it breaks symmetry then and start doing it. But again, it's all about speed and time. If you want to get this done in as fast as I can manner, you got to push the symmetry version of it as far as you can to make their face that shape, and then do the asymmetry.
And you kind of train your brain
to know when you reach that midway point.
Because an outside observer might look at it and go, "Well,
it doesn't look anything like them."
It's like you're like, "Well, I know, but I'm getting there."
I'm getting there.
You see the end of the road.
Yep.
You know, and they're looking at
right now
the third stop.
You've got to think. You got to think 20 steps ahead, and know what your goal is before you become down on yourself or say, well, it's not there yet, but you know where you're going. So
he has very interesting features.
He's got very unique features for sure. From all the interviews I've seen with him too, he seems like a pretty cool guy too.
Oh yeah,
very very cool, down to earth, chill, sharp.
I can't wait. They did green light the sequel.
They just announced it during Comic-Con. He on Twitter. I saw he posted it. Yeah, so they were shooting scene 1, shot 1.
I want to talk about it, but there's people that haven't seen it. I don't want to spoil it.
I know I don't want to spoil it either, but man, it is a phenomenal, tight, taut, emotional, fantastic action thriller, and I would love to be a part of. I would be honored to be a part of that film. Oh my God, like the next one. I wish I could have been a part of the first one. I had friends at ILM who were working on it,
of course, man.
And or their friends of friends were working on it, and I was like, "Tell John I'm going to sculpt him," and they're like, I don't know if I have that much clout. I'm like, just tell somebody to tell them. So I don't know if anyone out there knows John Krasinski, and they can connect me with him directly so that I can get him this 3D print when it's done. It'll be him, Emily Blunt, and the kids, and the aliens. It's going to be spectacular. So if anybody knows him, please get the word out. lionarts.com. It's getting there, yeah. We're getting there. People are commenting.
So there's a shout out.
Yeah.
They're saying lionarts.com rocks.
That's very kind of them. Thank you. I always appreciate kind words. Yeah, the artist life is not an easy one, I'll tell you that, guys. And anyone out there who's an inspiring artist or a younger artist or doubting themselves, just know that everybody goes through a lot of those phases, people, and the part of what makes an artist somebody who's making a living versus those who are struggling is perseverance. We all have hard times, and it's just about how much you can endure and knowing that you are skilled and have the passion for what you want to do. But a lot of that is choosing to put work in and choosing to not feel defeated, staying positive, working hard. And I always tell younger artists who talk to me or students, what is most important, I think, is 3 things. You got to be good at what you do, which takes practice, right? That's what it comes down to. You got to be skilled and work hard. So that's number 1. Number 2, you've got to learn to be good with people, man. One way or the other. You have to learn to be good with people, meaning good social skills. And that's something that's kind of sad. I feel like a lot of people in our digital age now are kind of losing some of those, what are known as soft skills, people skills. Having the chance to really be able to sit down with somebody and have a conversation and make them feel good and comfortable and enjoy talking about things other than just what you're interested in. But of course, finding common ground. But soft skills are really important in the world. You got to learn to network. And then lastly, it's just opportunity. And there's that famous phrase that opportunity, luck is part of opportunity in a sense. You never know who you might meet and when, but luck seems to favor the prepared, right? So if you are working hard and you have a good skill set and you're good with people, then all you got to do is just hope that the right opportunity comes your way and you're ready for it. So it's a combination of those things. But I don't think you got to ever put yourself in a position where you think that someone's better than you and you can't ever do what they're doing. I look at it like if someone else has done it, I most likely can do it too. But yeah, hard work is a big part of it, man. There's no shortcut to hard work.
All right, so I have more questions come in.
Yes, sir.
So first of all, Nick Z's information is on Twitch chat, so please look for it.
There you go.
And then the question is,
yes.
What are some good practice when learning 3D scripting?
When learning 3D
sculpting.
3D sculpting, what are good practices? Might need a little bit more clarification, but I mean, I guess some of the core values for anybody is observation, man. I have a traditional art background before I ever got into ZBrush, and the important thing there was when learning, like in drawing 1 and 2, classical life drawing. You have nudes in front of you and you're drawing people in the form. You have to learn to know what you're observing, and what you actually are seeing is what you're replicating, not what you think you see. So you always look at your reference about 10 times more than you're looking at your own work, and you got to go back and forth constantly. We have a kind of a shortcut here where you can actually overlap your reference, which almost feels like cheating, but still a hell of a lot of work to understand the dimensionality of someone's face or any object that you're trying to replicate. So best practices are have good reference, take your time, you know, practice. Yeah, I'm not sure what else to really say. I don't know.
No, that's good. I think that's good advice.
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
When you pick reference, do they have to take almost at the same lens per se?
Yeah, I mean, I often think about that because I'm starting to work on my first short film, so I think about lenses and millimeter lengths and all that a lot. And a lot of common, like very popular millimeter lengths for lenses are, of course, 35 millimeter. But you gotta think about compression. So the larger the millimeter number, the more compression that happens in the lens. So you can have something that is like a wide lens will really fish eye or distort something. So I'll give a quick example here. So without perspective, this is called orthographic views, right? So this is not real. This is not possible in real life. You have two eyes, so you're always going to see in 3 dimensions, and you're always going to have a depth that will not be from just one angle. So you're going to have perspective no matter where you're looking or what you're looking at. Same with the lens, it always has a certain level of warping. So then you have up here, awesome, now we have actual real focal lengths here. So 35, all right, so I'll zoom in here a little bit. So this is 35. If we drop down to 18, may not even, I mean, yeah, ZBrush is still, it's like not a 100% real camera, but it's getting there. But we'll get some warping there. But you go up to 85, you see the compression that happens. So the compression meaning that it almost gets to almost orthographic view, you know, really stacks everything. And people's faces, generally, photographers who are very experienced know that you want to go with you know, people shoot 35, but if you're close in somebody or mid-range, you want to do a 50 to 85. That really complements the face a lot. Really between 35 and 50 are what people usually shoot with for faces. And it really complements someone's face. It gives them a more accurate perspective. And the end photograph looks more like the person when you see them in real life than maybe like an 18 or 25 millimeter where you get more bubbly kind of round faces where that won't really complement someone's face very well. And also the length of distance from the camera to the subject, of course, is another big thing. So, you know, in a shooting in a studio, they're typically not going to have the camera right up on their face. They're going to be at a distance and using a nice, strong, you know, 50 or 85 millimeter, or sometimes even longer lenses. And that'll really compress the face and give a really nice form to, an accurate form to the person's face.
Yeah, it's tough to find those things. Like,
yeah, this is all guessing though, you know.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. I'll
part
bounce
of your
around
skill, right?
50.
You're an artist that just wants to make John Krasinski. If you worked in film, you might just get a 3D scan. You know?
Sure.
Right? That's a possibility.
Sure.
If you're us, and we're just out there making characters.
Yep.
They're going to pull images from Google, and it's basically you're doing the best that you can to look at these things, and you're forcing yourself to be creative.
Right.
Do what you're saying, which is use your eye, check your reference a lot. Don't trust you've got it right. You know, it's like always second guess yourself.
Right.
You know.
Yep.
This happens to me all the time. I'll be super sad. Like, say I've been working on something for a day, and at the end of the day, I'm really happy. Okay, I feel like it's in a really good place. And I'll go get some dinner, watch a movie.
You come back to it, and you're like, it looks like garbage. Yeah. Yeah. That's every artist though, man. It's like it's good to step away from your work and come back to it.
It is. It makes such a difference.
It gives you perspective, and it helps you refine your eye and what you're doing.
Struggling with something, I just can't get it right. Go through those back and forth. If I leave it for like a week and then I come back, I always am fresh.
Yep.
And it really works. It really helps.
Yeah.
As long as you're not on the time constraint, of course.
Right.
Then you got to do some more interesting techniques.
Yeah.
There's some mind tricks in yourself.
Right. Looks hilarious too when you got like the eyes are stuck in one position and your brows are you get all these funny facial expressions that are just total accidents. But yeah. You got to think about angles too. Like this is obviously like a little bit more of a slightly lower angle. Like they're below his eye level, and he kind of has a distant look. So.
Did you ever do any?
We're getting there. Slowly.
Do you usually just stick to reference like this, or do you ever go in and do any like distance measuring, or just like something I like to do sometimes? Like take this image for example.
Yeah.
Draw horizontal lines where like key points meet. So the bottom of the eyelid, the top of the eyelid, the bottom of his nose, the top of his lip, the bottom of his lip, and use those as just like big red lines. So all I see is distance. So it's starting to get like a different visualization of like how long the bridge of his nose is. Those things kind of help me. But
Yeah,
you end up like, just being able to like see that as you're working.
Sometimes, yeah, it varies with each face, you know. But often I'll just primarily first I'll focus on, like I said, like basic proportions, getting some of that down, front, side, and like 3/4 if I can.
Yeah.
And then from there, yeah, I'll look at like the eye length and see if, like, you know, the ideal, of course, is you have one eye that's the length in between both eyes. That's like the classic ideal.
Yeah.
A lot of people have their eyes farther or closer apart though.
Right.
So, but in general, it should be like an eye length apart. So yeah, I'll look at certain things like that. But I'll get more into that, I think, as I get the basics, the rough down. Yeah. But it's really kind of like I don't know. I think a lot of people have different techniques, and I'm sure there's certain things that are standards that are best for likenesses. But
I mean, it's like everybody's different.
Everybody's different, and yeah, it's like you got to kind of. It's sort of like feeling your way around the dark a little bit. You know, you
getting comfortable being in the dark.
Yeah, it's like being comfortable with like so. Someone we both know has this phrase of the valley of the suck.
Oh yeah.
And everybody goes through it. That's that's an accurate depiction, man.
Totally.
You're just like, you know, there's that classic Bible verse.
Be strong.
Through the valley of the shadow of darkness, you know, shadow of death. Excuse me. So it's like, man, you artistically go through every likeness goes through the valley of death, of like risking quitting on it because you're like, oh, this does not look like the person at all. But
perfect nerd analogy for that is the never-ending story.
The never.
When
the never-ending story.
And Artex are going through the swamp. Swamp of sadness.
Yeah, but the horse dies.
Artex gives in. You never give in.
No, that's the sad thing, dude. And anyone who doesn't know, really sad factoid: that horse actually drowned in that scene. That's that horse died for real. That's really it's really sad. Yeah, they freaking drowned that horse. It's terrible.
My Red Dead Redemption horse is Artex.
Nice. Dude, I love animals. I think some people, anyway, if anyone knows me really well, they know that most of my work is not human. It's mostly creature, dinosaur, animals. I've been lucky that a lot of the guys, one in particular from ILM, have commissioned me to make raptors for them, like for commemorative things, or some of the directors have had me make some dinosaurs for them. And I love doing dinosaurs, and I will always love doing animals, but every now and then you got to kind of break free of what you normally do. And you know, it's healthy, I think, to keep expressing your creativity through different means. And if you think, oh, I don't like doing people, or I don't like doing animals, but if you know it can keep you employed and it can become something you can enjoy, I often carrot myself to learn new techniques or learn new software through saying, oh, I'd love to have a finished piece that is this. Just use your imagination and then say, well, but I don't know X, Y, and Z, but I really want this piece to be a reality. So then I just say, well, I have to learn blah, 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 blah. I have to learn Marvelous Designer so I can get close to look spectacular much faster. And so you just sort of like, I say carrot, you know, the analogy is you're riding a horse and you have a stick and a string, and on the end of the string is a carrot. So you carrot yourself to keep going a direction, dangle something in front of you saying, well, if I can learn this, then I'm going to have this end result. So it's day and the age of the internet too. It's like, there's nothing you can't learn really anymore. And we live in such an amazing age where you can take a Harvard course while you're like sitting on the toilet taking a dump, man.
Sure.
You can get some of the highest education for almost nothing on your phone.
Right.
Like, there's no excuse to not know something you want to know at this point. You can get an education any way and how you really want. It's pretty incredible.
To a lot of people here at Comic-Con about that sculpture. People that are just getting into ZBrush, we're talking about it. But I can never do that. Honestly, you can't. A lot of it is just getting through experimentation, having fun, drawing things out.
Yep.
Sculpture, some people just
they get it.
Drawing. You don't know why you can do it, you just can.
Some people's brains, they have, like, you'll do like aptitude tests. I've seen this, you know, you can do it even online. And you can see certain people have better just spatial awareness, kinesthetic awareness, where their body parts are. Like, there's a certain brains have certain proclivity, a certain lean towards certain things, but that doesn't mean that someone who doesn't have that natural proclivity couldn't learn it. It's a skill. I mean, I think there was something to be said about a spark of quote-unquote talent, right? But I think that some people are born with a proclivity, a lean toward certain things. And then there are those one or two maybe prodigies in the world. But even Mozart, you know, Mozart was someone who worked very hard.
Yeah, right. Pixel Logic.
Okay, so somebody's digging work around here. They're asking, Daniel, did you work on Moana?
Did I work on Moana?
Yeah.
Yes, tangentially. I was hired to create some toys for Moana, and it was before the movie came out, so I didn't know what I was looking at, but I worked on the kakimora, those little funny coconut guys. Yeah, and so they made these like, instruments for kids, and they turned the kakimora into like sort of maracas, kind of. So it was really fun working on it, though. I didn't know what I was working on. I just knew they were kind of cool and coconut characters, and then I saw the movie, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. But yeah, I've been lucky to work with Disney a few times. Recently just did some work for Lion King. Unfortunately, it didn't make it into the film because of time constraints, but yeah, it's cool to be able to work with Disney property and you know, iconic characters. It's always fun. For anyone watching, if some people may not know John Krasinski very well, if they haven't seen The Office, as far as familiarity with his work, he's also on Amazon's Jack Ryan, which was pretty good. But for anyone who hasn't watched The Office, it's I think it's still on Netflix, and it is hilarious. Ricky Gervais created the original version, and it was English, the British version. And then I have to say that the American version definitely has a standout style that is phenomenal and just absolutely hilarious. So if you want a good laugh and you want your jaw hit the floor a couple times from just how ridiculous things are, Steve Carell is amazing. There's so many actors in there you'll see who've gone on to do some great things. But yeah, John is his Jim and Pam were the couple to follow on TV for a very long time, and yeah, it's great.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Keeping all of our ZBrush users. Did Jordan come on today? We got to meet him. Yes. Jordan's great.
sites or something you offer different classes to learn how to use the software?
Pixelogic does have a what's called Z Classroom. So it's an online page that you can go to and learn how to use the software for sure. There's also a ton of information on YouTube, and specifically myself, I've taught classes on 3D printing with Gnome, the Gnome Workshop. You can go on there and learn how to do 3D printing if you know how to do 3D modeling. So yeah, there's a plethora of information out there.
You have to have the inner challenge.
You have to have the desire. You have to have the drive. That's what it really is, I think.
Yeah, that's really cool though.
Thank you. Who am I modeling? John Krasinski likeness, but this is very early, very beginning. So, yes, we're matching up. Yeah, we're matching up the basic features here, starting with that first, and then going all the way around. It's getting there. Yeah, I'm doing a live stream with them and talking to people and just saying how it's everything with likenesses. It always has that rough beginning where it just kind of doesn't look anything like the person, or it kind of does, but it looks like someone took clay and mashed it in the face. So it takes time, but it's this very extremely truly organic process of pushing things in, pulling things out, getting all the distribution of different features, and you start to realize just how subtle changes make such a different impact on someone's face. Just little things have a massive difference in how someone looks. Yep, and then how much tissue or fat's on top of that, and that really, it's so much, it makes a face, and it's extremely complex. We take it for granted, I think, because we so naturally see ourselves in the mirror and see other humans all the time, so we take for granted just how much complexity is in the face, but it's insane how many muscles and fat and connective tissue and all of that. So it's a lot. Bone structure, it's all these different layers. But. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. You guys work in the industry, or what do you do?
I used to be a modeler for government.
Oh, wow. Very cool. Wow, big change. That's no, I feel you. Yeah, no, that's really cool. Yeah, restricted. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I left medicine to get into the arts. So, yeah, I was an advanced tech in an ER in Pennsylvania. So I did that for about 2 years while I was in college, working full-time and studying full-time, and it was like social suicide. I was killing myself. But double major my last year and a half, and then realized that art was just what I really loved, and I couldn't really handle watching people die all the time. It just got, I could handle it, but I wouldn't become cold, and that's how I would have to deal with it. It would be to turn off that emotion. And after 18, 19, 20 are pretty formative years too, so it really shaped and rearranged my perspective on life and how short life is. And so I knew I wanted to do what I really loved and inspire people through that. And so moving toward filmmaking, but this is a great way to make a living and do something that's enjoyable. So yeah. What are your names? Dane? Daniel. Nice to meet you. Kristen, pleasure. Yeah, nice to meet you guys. Thanks for saying hi.
I have a question online.
Yes, sir.
If you had to make a body, would you try to match the actor's skeleton proportions, or just use average height base body, or
No.
something from Nick Z?
Yeah. Well, the body actually is here, so yeah, I would use the body that Nick Z has provided. So this is the base body that I'm using. But I would, of course, try to match the overall proportions of the actor and have that be appropriate, and then use that as a basic pose, and then go into Marvelous Designer and drape the clothes over that. So the body would basically be really what I would use from the neck down would just be the hands, and in this case the feet. And then the body itself would just be basic proportions, very rudimentary portions that are accurate to the actor. And then the clothes would really be what fills out the figure. So the body would be just for the pose, and then the clothes would be over those muscles and tissue, of course. So for anyone watching, I'm getting the 5-minute mark or so. So I'm sorry if this was not like super entertaining, but likenesses are a long process. So I hope that this was at least informative and kind of cool for someone to see that you know, this is how Hollywood, this is how we do it when it comes to if we don't have a 3D scan of somebody and we got to do a digital double. This is kind of where it all starts, man. This is how it goes. Start with a good base mesh and take the time and do the work and work hard. But the reward at the end is always cool to see a finished likeness. And it always feels good to be proud that you know you did it in a rather hard way, meaning you don't have a 3D scan of someone's face, which almost feels like cheating. But when time is of the essence or accuracy is needed, the best thing to have is to have a studio scan someone's face and then work with that, which I was lucky enough to be able to work with a couple times. Star Wars toy line, I did a bunch of work with Harrison Ford's full body scan, including his face, which is really cool. Then on the show Forever on Amazon, I got to work with Maya Rudolph's facial scan. Had to create a accurate head and scalp so that she could then have, they scanned her I think with like a skull cap on. They need to do a CG simulation of her hair, because at one point in the show, she is underwater walking, and I don't want to spoil too much, but it's pretty much in the last episode. I did a ton of work on my Rudolph for the underwater sequence, and more so for assets for the kelp forest that you'll see underwater, and a lot of coral and underwater plant life, so to speak. So, but yeah, facial scans are the best.
All right. So this is more of an interpretation for a question.
Okay.
Is for somebody who just finished school.
Yeah.
Do you ever do work for free?
That's really, no one likes, I think no one who respects themselves loves hearing, oh, just do it for exposure, just do it for this or that. I mean, it's, money is how we feed ourselves, is how we survive. It's hard though. I think it really depends on the project. So it's an independent, it's a personal question, I think. But overall, it's that classic line, if you're good at something, you should never do it for free. I would say it would be more fair if someone's asking you to do something for free to say, well, if they're trusting you to do the job, then that means they should value it to some degree. So maybe do it at a lower cost if you're a student or just graduated, but working for free, working for spec, I mean, it really comes down to like if the risk versus reward is worth it. But overall, I would say typically people should not work for free. People should be paid what they're worth, and that comes with time and experience as well. So probably lower rates when you're younger, and then just put the work in and be excellent at what you do, and know that, and then you should be rewarded for your time. You should be paid properly. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty good though about how this is getting. Like just the baseline there is falling into place. I feel like we're getting there. Getting there. Still a long ways to go, but foundation's there, where it's almost time to break symmetry and start doing asymmetrical adjustments to start more accurately matching the face and distances between facial features.
All right, another question.
Yes.
What do you think is the future of 3D modeling and ZBrush in it?
Huh. If I had a crystal ball, I could tell you. What do I think? I don't know. I just think it's probably see some more migration in general from people working in, like, I think the idea of medium, and I know a lot of people have said like it would be awesome to sculpt with ZBrush in VR, but I don't know if or when that'll ever come. O'Farrell is the brain behind ZBrush, and where his vision goes is what we're going to have. So I think we just have to wait and see. I think things are just going to get better. I think we're going to still see improvements from here. We're going to see ease of sculpting to be even better. And I think one thing that's very cool is that Pixelogic always seems to surprise us with new technology and new methodology of how to create assets and sculpt. So I don't know. It's too hard to tell what the future will be. I just think it'll get better and faster.
How great is it when you're doing a likeness and the actor has done a movie where they're bald?
Yeah, that's the best.
It doesn't happen enough.
No, it doesn't happen enough. Not a lot of people shave their head.
Yeah.
And even then, you have to hope that it's in the right angles, and because a lot of films will not do straight on side profiles. I didn't think about this until right now because I'm also doing a Keanu Reeves likeness for The Matrix.
You got some great.
But there's some great references in The Matrix, yeah. Because when he wakes up, he's bald as hell.
It's always an easy movie sale on iTunes, so you can just screen capture images from the movie or wherever you can buy it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Totally.
I do that a lot.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
You just can't. There's some things you cannot Google search.
Yeah.
Being a digital sculptor that spends so much time on Google, looking up all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yep.
There's some things you just can't get, and you need it. Like, I need this image. How can I get it? Oh, they were in that movie.
Yep.
I remember that one scene. I could probably screen capture.
Yeah. There's a lot of movies that just do not have the shots you need. So yeah, you're right. The balding part is like almost nobody's bald in movies. So yeah.
Just, do what you like to do what you do at home. Just the same stuff, Don't feel any pressure, and he's going to be talking to you, do the stuff that you enjoy.
Yeah.
Can I squeeze one more question?
Good. Yes.
Do you poly paint much?
I'm sorry. Say again.
Poly paint?
Poly paint. Oh, yes. Yeah, I do. Much. I mean, it's as I've been doing more work for 3D print. That obviously poly paint's almost non-existent. There's no reason to. But when it comes to production, I will often do a base paint job for textures in ZBrush first to lay the groundwork after it's been UV'd, and then export that out into Photoshop. Or I've been learning more Marvelous Designer to start working in that in Marvelous Designer. Sorry, brain fart. Substance Designer and Substance Painter. There we go. Sorry. But yeah, I'm learning a couple things right now. I'm nailing down all that. So yeah.
That's about it.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, it looks like I am going to be wrapping it up here and passing on the torch to another amazing artist. Mr. Steve Wang is up next. So if you guys are watching, stick around for him. He is an absolute legend, beast.
It's looking good.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
looking forward to seeing it.
Thank you. It's coming together here. So
I want to see what you're going to do with it.
it's going to be fun, dude. It's going to be fun. I'm going to save this out.